go until the 2022 NAB AFL Draft. We cannot wait here at afl.com.au and the AFL Live app. Nat Edwards and the guru Cal Twomey with you on the AFL's official Facebook page, and we can't wait to answer all of your questions.
No, that's right. Drop them down. There's plenty of questions coming through already, and over the next week, hopefully a few of those will be answered, and over the next 10 minutes, a few of those will be answered. So I'm excited now. I just bumped into Bailey Humphrey and Aaron Cadman here at AFL House, and they're pretty pumped too. It must be an exciting time to be some of these boys who are only sleeps away from realising their dreams.
Oh, it is such an exciting time.
But where do they all go?
I know, this is the question, and we want to start with Dylan, who's basically taken the words right out of my mouth, Cal. Who are the Hawks taking with their first pick? Tell me.
Took the words right out of my mouth. I think... look, they've spent a lot of time interviewing, as they do. We've said recently how much they do interview and re-interview again. And they had a number of players over the last few days that they've spoken to. Phillipou came in from South Australia to speak to them. Cam McKenzie as well, Elijah Sardis, Bailey Humphrey. All of those are the names that I think they're weighing up. Jai Clark is another. So I think it's going to be obviously dependent on who's there. And one of Elijah Sardis and Matthias Phillipou will likely be gone. One of Bailey Humphrey or Jai Clark could be gone as well. So, look, Cam McKenzie's in that mix. I think all those players are in the mix. I know I'm sitting on the fence a little bit, but that's the group that they're weighing up, and I think they're going to end up with a pretty good one regardless.
Stressing me out. It's really stressing me out.
And you have to look at your own midfield mix as well already.
Yeah, of
what
course.
sort of players complement that? Do they need a taller player who would be the Sardis, McKenzie,
That's what they
Philippos,
don't have.
the Philippos type of player, or Jai Clark, who is probably similar to what they've got, but from a quality level is a star.
But then goal-kicking mids also don't grow on trees, and Bailey Humphrey also offers that as well. You mentioned Matthias Phillipou. There's a question from Nick. Will Essendon take Phillipou ahead of Sardis if they keep pick 4?
That is the big question. And look, they've obviously been watching both these players for a long time. Both offer a fair bit of quality in different ways. Phillipou as a player who, as we saw here, can go forward, take a grab. He's a 190-centimetre midfielder.
So tall.
Essendon are planning to go and interview him in South Australia as well, so they've clearly got an interest in him. Clearly also got an interest in Elijah Sardis too, who's had a great season either side of that foot injury. So that's going to be a really tight call, and that will shape as well what happens after that. But I think those two are clearly the front runners for that pick.
Another Hawthorn question from Ash. Has Hawthorn shown any interest in Isaac Keeler?
Well, he's in the open pool now, so Adelaide haven't nominated him under the Next Generation Academy rules. It means that wherever he's picked, he can go. I still think he's a chance to go inside the first 40 regardless. I know that doesn't matter anyway, now that he's not nominated to the Crows. But Hawthorn, there's other clubs as well that have looked at him inside the first 40. I'm not sure if he's a pick for them inside their 20 selection, maybe even the 40s if he gets that far.
Jack has a very important question to pose here. What pick swaps can you see happening inside the top 10? As we know, you can continue to trade these picks right up until the start of the draft.
Well, that opens up again on the start of the draft, so next week. So clubs can't actually do the deals at the moment, but they can make it and sort of come to handshake agreements, I guess, if they're happy enough with what it looks like. Look, I don't foresee too much movement within there. I know the Bombers have had interest. Melbourne, it's understood as well amongst the competition, has been really aggressive in trying to get inside that early part of the draft. So they put a package of picks together, including their 2 future first-round picks.
Wow.
And also other selection within that to try and get Gold Coast pick 5, Essendon's pick 4, and North Melbourne's pick 3. Now, those clubs are holding firm and wanting to stay at that part of the draft at this point. So that was 2 future first-round picks. One of them's tied to Melbourne, one of them's tied to Fremantle. And Melbourne's been active in this space for a long time now. It's been a big part of their strategy. I'm a bit surprised that other clubs don't do it more of it because of how well it's been executed by the Demons in terms of paying it forward. So using their future first-round picks to keep getting double-ups and double-ups. But they've tried to do that with these top 5 picks. I don't think that's going to be happening there. There might also be some movement, though, beyond that. I know the Swans have been pretty open with clubs as well, around 14 and 17 being up for grabs, potentially for a future first-round pick too, if the player or players aren't available for them at that point. The Giants pick 19, which we've spoken about a lot on this show, has been up for grabs for a while now and been on the trade table for a while there. Could Melbourne use one of its future first-round picks to do that as well on draft night or draft night too? So lots of opportunities there potentially. A lot of clubs keen to stay though at the top end.
All right, be interesting to see how that plays out. Liam wants to know, what are Carlton's plans for the draft? What are you feeling for the Blues?
What am I feeling for the Blues? Oh, look, they're in a good spot at 10 because I think that they're going to have the option of a few players. Ollie Hollands has been a player that's been linked there. He's a midfielder who runs and runs and runs and just keeps running. Could play on one of their wings from pretty much day dot. He's an option there. Depending what happens before them, could one of the midfielders get through, like McKenzie or Sardis or even Phillipou? One of those guys potentially. Jed Bustlinger is a key back. So I think that's all the group that they'd be weighing up.
Okay, Acosta wants to know, will Collingwood target a key position forward or a defender with its first pick? And their first pick is
16.
Yeah, it's 16, so it's a way down.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if there's going to be too many key forwards at that point. Matt Jefferson could still be on the board. He could be taken, been strongly linked to the Demons at different points as well. They've got pick 13. So he's a chance still to be there as well, depending on what also gets through to the Dees. You have to say that Lewis Hayes could be around that sort of mark onwards as a key back.
Yep.
I think Jed Bustlinger, if he got there, would be right in the mix to be taken, but I think that's pretty unlikely as well. So they probably take the best player available. I don't think many clubs draft purely on needs basis in that first 15 or 16. Jacob Ryan's been linked a little bit to the Pies pick as well. He's a taller half back who can play through the midfield too and had a pretty dominant season in SA.
So we've spoken a lot about Elijah Sardis, but for fans, I guess, who are just sort of tuning into draft news, and Daniel might be one of these, but what current AFL player would you actually compare Elijah Sardis to? Is there one?
It's actually a pretty hard one to sort of compare him to. I think there's a little bit of Chad Warner in there and his ability to go inside and outside. He's going to be a big boy. He's 186 centimetres at the moment. He's starting to build up his upper body. He's got the burst here. Kick out of the middle, straight through. So, look, there's a lot to like about what kind of player he'll be, and whichever club ends up with him is going to end up with a pretty good one. So his highlights package is really strong. He's an inside-outside midfielder. Pick your guy who that is, but there's a bit of that Warner style about him.
All right, so North Melbourne, we get plenty of questions about them. Obviously, hold picks 2 and 3. We probably know roughly what they're looking at the top end, but Sam wants to know, is there any chance they'll pick up Lockie Cowan?
I think he'll be around that mark of the draft. Their third pick, which is basically their last live pick, because they'll use their last pick on Cooper Harvey, wherever that comes. Their third pick for Lockie Cowan, well, 23 is going to be around the mark for him. I think he's got a little bit of interest inside the later part of the first round and then early in the second. So Morris medalist, big kicking player out of Tasmania, played through the midfield and half back as well. So I think he'd be certainly an option for them there.
Max wants to know, who are Freo interested in? Yeah,
well, pick 30, it's a little bit of a different story for them.
It is, isn't it?
In terms of where they're starting. Last year they had 2 top 10 picks in Amis and also Erasmus. So a little bit of a different story for them, what they can get through. I think at some point they'd probably look at a ruckman. I don't know if that's early doors. Could Harry Barnett be available there? He might be around there. You just never know with the best rucks in the draft. We've seen rucks slip forever and a year, so that happens more and more. But he might be taken before then too. But if he was there at their pick, well, I think rucks is an option for them because they obviously are only down to 2 with a couple of exits across their off season. But yeah, I think they're pretty well stocked across their list too. They've had a pretty good draft haul over the number of years.
Yeah, they have. Braden wants to know, who are the top father-son and academy prospects for 2023? So that's even casting our minds even further forward. And we know that Harley Reid is probably being touted at the moment as the #1 draft pick. But any father-sons that might be on the radar for next year that you can kind of think of?
Not to the degree of the last couple of years.
Okay.
So Ashcroft, obviously, year out, everyone was well aware of him. We know that Nick Dacos
and Darcy.
Sam Darcy was a bit of a late bloomer, but Nick Dacos a year out everyone knew about. Probably not the same sort of level next year.
All right, good to know. We will keep you up to date on that one. Evan wants to know, Adam Deloyer, always get that one, sorry Adam, has an impressive resume. Why isn't he rated higher?
I think he does have an impressive resume. He's had a really strong season in the SANFL as a midfielder, also for SA at the State Carnival. I think it's just about where clubs view these type of midfielders who are predominantly these inside midfield options. I think sometimes, and we're seeing this across the draft and across the trade period too, sometimes these guys, there's only a certain amount clubs want to use on them and have them, in terms of picks be available. But I think for clubs, he's probably an option to the latter stages of this year's draft/rookie.
Okay, all right, interesting. Thank you so much for jumping on with your questions. We really appreciate you taking the time. Hopefully we managed to answer most of your questions, but don't worry, there is plenty more draft coverage coming your way starting on Thursday with Draft Night Countdown.
That's it. Draft Night Countdown.
That
Yeah, we'll be counting down from Thursday. We'll be, myself and Riley Beveridge, joined by a number of recruiting bosses, list managers, players, agents, senior coaches at AFL clubs from Thursday, Friday, Sunday night, and also Monday afternoon ahead of the draft on Monday night, of course. But Thursday, 12 p.m. till 2 p.m, all the big interviews and all the latest from all the draft.
Cannot wait for that.
Everyone involved in the draft is on our show. So
yep, pretty much. Good. So make sure you tune in. And then, of course, Monday night and Tuesday night, Draft Night Live, the most comprehensive coverage of the draft right here on AFL.com.au and the AFL Live app. We will cover every single pick and have all the analysis from this guy right here. So this is the one place that you want to go for your draft coverage. And then the rookie draft, Cal, just to round things out on the Wednesday. On the Wednesday, the second chance saloon for a lot of players. And I think we'll see a few guys get their other opportunities after being delisted as well in the rookie draft. So that should be good too. All right, cannot wait. It's a massive week ahead. Of course, the AFLW Grand Final as well. But AFL.com.au and the AFL Live app is the place to go. We'll catch you soon.